So, today our lecture is about management ideas in Arthashastra. That is what Unit 2 that we are going to discuss about. So, here Arthashastra, we all know it has different perspectives to discuss, like political, diplomatic, administrative insights likewise. But here we are exploring Arthashastra as management ideas, the source of management ideas. So it can be considered as, when it comes to management ideas, it is called as foundation book for managers. And the key management ideas it was within is about what are the models of man, and it also discussed about theories of motivation and leadership, training and development, decision making, financial administration and information systems, finally the strategic management concepts. So let us get into the philosophy of Arthashastra. Actually, this Arthashastra written by Kautilya, he also called as, he's having another name. What is that?
Chanakya.
Chanakya Niti. Yes. So Chanakya. So main philosophy of Arthashastra, if we see, Arthashastra is defined as a science which means of acquisition and protection of the earth. That is what Arthashastra is on whole we can call it as. Whereas Artha is regarded as one of the important goals of human existence. Many people currently, when we say about Artha, they do understand it as a money. It's for material things. But predominantly, it is having its own place when we look into those four types of things: Artha, Dharma, Kama, Moksha. Usually, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That's the sequence: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, when we look into these four pursuits, Artha is having most primary importance on behalf of concentration of material things. See, here Artha is usually understood to stand for material well-being, which is, as well as it means securing such well-being, particularly about money and all, as we said before. And Kautilya also considers about the Artha as most important thing to lead the life. So his view about Artha is that for the human existence it is most important. He indicates that as Arjana, that means creation, Arjana, creation, and Vardhana, which is telling about increase, and Rakshana, which is about protection. These are the three important aspects of Artha, which is almost defining as wealth of the nation. So let us look into leaders as achievers. That means, as per Arthashastra, how Kautilya defined the leadership, the process of leadership. So in his perspective, Arthashastra is views as the man in leadership's position is as Vijugeshu. That means Vijagisha means victory or achievement. So here Vijagisha is all encompassing phrases like which is denoting about overall achievement orientation of a particular leader.
Excuse me, ma'am.
So however, this achievement orientation is not guided by narrow self-interest. That is what he told, but by the yoga kshema, that means by representing the safe of others, by representing the peacefulness of others. A leader can be called as a good leader. Here let us look into the word yoga kshema. So the leadership is only possible by Yogakshema, that means well-being of others, prosperity of others, or happiness, security of others. So in different perspectives we can see this Yogakshema. So here yoga, which refers to the successful accomplishment of the objective or the object. Well, Kshema, we all know the meaning of Kshema as peacefulness. Based good well-being of a particular thing, aspiring well-being of particular human or individual or thing, that is representing as Kshema. So by representing these two, that means by aspiring Yoga Kshema, a leader can be Vijigishu. That is what he derived in Arthashastra. So here the idea actually is mentioned like when we apply this context to modern organizations, and it is advisable they have to implement in this modern business areas, this Vijagishu's strategic actions should be guided by his desire, which has to expand his organization's territories. That means a leader has to assure the development of the organization, which also includes about the product and market territories, which is as influence territory. That means a leader has to aspect the well-being of the society also. So when we can call a best leader, leaders are achievers when he will aspect the well-being of his peer group, employees and about the organization along with the society, then only we can say leaders or achievers. And here leaders, how they are using their power. So in Kautilya's perspective, that means his way of delivering about use of power, use of danda. That means power always, that we can call it as a danda. Samadana Dando Padhyaya. So this is danda is representing about the punishment. So here one of the use of authority or power or punishment in other way. So Kautilya cautions his ideal king as what? The power has to be used judiciously as per legal, as per constitution, that you have to use your power as king. And he also advises the king to use it to protect the weak from the stronger. Usually we can observe in the society the power is used to make the strong as stronger strongest. But actually as per Arthashastra, what Kautilya denotes is the power has to be utilized to protect the weakest from the strongest. So the leader is advised not to misuse the power and authority. That is what he advised, and Kautilya also prefers the use of power to instill the order and protect the weak. He pressed on that. If not, it is not used in the perspective. It gives to the law of fishes. That means it's always may be manipulated and betrayed. So here Kautilya also suggests that the leader should have concern for protecting the weak. He prohibits excessive use of power and authority, which is entrusted to an individual. Kautilya indicates that improper use of authority may lead to serious consequences. It may lead to frustration among society, frustration among employees. This is what he represented. If a leader is not utilizing the power in a right way, obviously it will lead to the frustration of people. Of course, as leader, we may not satisfy everybody who is in and around us when it comes to a challenge where you have to stand up. Obviously, in the modern management, managers has to operate this thing. They have to lie between the mid region, which is between the mid region always represents between the severity of the power and level of the frustration. That is why they can manage their leaderships. And if we look into the concern for people, how much concern about people that we have as an individual, and as well as here, how much concern a king has to be. That means a leader. As we are discussing this concept in the management perspective, here we are talking about a leader who has to have a good concern about the people. Earlier that we already discussed about the leadership concept as aspiring the yogakshema of fellow beings. That means employees, peer groups, friends, family, organization and society. That is what we discuss. So here Ardhashastra brings out the concern for people as one of the main ideas. So here he suggested that the actions of the leader should be guided by this concern, Yogakshema. So the concept of Yogakshema always reflects the concern. Always it lies on the happiness of the subjects. That means what is beneficial to himself is not beneficial to the king, maybe, right? So, but what is dear to the subject is beneficial to him. That is the truth. So, in this context, actually, this is as per Shastras, this was denoted. So, in this context, if we look into this sentence, the modern organizations which appears to be the first lesson is about the relationship between superior subordinate. So this framework always represents the concern for people. So it indicates that superiors should not be guided by his personal interest. They have to demonstrate a genuine concern for the people or subordinates, whoever currently that we are talking about superior subordinate relationship, right? That's what a genuine concern has to have among fellow subordinates. So the human relations should be guided by what is dear to the subordinates rather than what is dear to the boss. This is how the way of concern would be developed among all leaders. So usually the Kautilya's leader is guided by reasons. How he did that, we all know this thing, Yada Raja Tada Praja. So as per king, the fellows will follow. As per the leader, the fellows will be determined. So here Kautilya's leader is like that. So always this leader is guided by reason and experience. These are the two factors wherein he has to act accordingly. So here leadership actions should be based on both reason as well as past experience. So here Kautilya typically emphasizes the importance of rationality. The importance of rationality as well as the previous experience in decision making. Earlier, if we have faced the same problem, what kind of decisions that we have implemented? What were the alternatives that we identified? What were the opportunities to implement those alternatives and all? This is how past experiences are more helpful for a leader to get into the right path. So this, if we consider this as a theory, taking the reasons and past experiences to go forward, obviously that will give good results to the people. So here, as per this line, Yatha Raja Tada Praja, if the leader is good, if he is very ethical and good at everything, obviously he can inculcate same practice among his followers. So a leader only can make others to be a leader. That is what he told in Kautilya's leader concept. So here let us look into the theories of motivation. So the theories of motivation, earlier we have seen in principles of management, we have learned few theories of motivation like Maslow's needs hierarchy theory, theory X and Y, Bloom's theory of motivation. Likewise, the students has learned many of the theories, but here we are going to learn about what is actual theory of motivation which is derived by Kautilya or from Ardhashastra. So here Ardhashastra, it identified four different methods of motivation. We all familiar about these four areas, that Sama, Dama, Danda and Bhedopadhyaya. That means that till now we have discussed these four areas in different perspective, in learning perspective, in philosophical perspective and all. Here Kautilya discussed these four areas as a part of motivation. How we have to look into the motivation by taking these four areas into consideration. So as a group, they can be referred to as motivation means various combinations of these main mix. Usually the motivation has to be like that. Here Sama, which is represented as persuasion method of motivation. That means an individual, they have to have self motivation. If there are hurdles or something, he has to realize for it and he has to look into the right way. That is what the Sama. And Dhamma. Dhamma is the incentive system or reward method of motivation. If you are doing something, definitely you will be incentivized with something. Or your works will be recognized by providing some rewards. That is the case of Dhamma, which is reward method of motivation. Next one is Bheda. Bheda is about internal competition. Competition which exists between the people. Competition, healthy competition here we are talking about. So this competition which exists between the organizations, between the persons. And finally, we all know this Danda, which representing the punishment. How to keep the people keep on motivation. By punishing them, that means giving some punishments, people also have motivation. Punishment method of motivation. Sorry, it was repeated twice here. So punishment method of motivation. This means, so this is what he represented, Sama Dhamma Bheda Dandopa. So if I look into the Danda, we can include, that means we can, this thing, this Danda concept is reflecting on the theory of X. We all know that theory X is something wherein the people, if they are pretended not to work, they are the employees, but they are lazy, they are unable to work and all. Usually, the how we can keep them towards the work by utilizing some kind of the punishments and all. So this Danda always represent theory X method of motivation. So here Ardhashastra also suggests um, sequencing of using these kind of the combinations like different situations. So when it comes to motivation, it may not be similar to everyone. Right? Some people may be happy with the increment, but some people may not be happy with the increments. They may need bonus, they may need some promotions and all. So here the way of motivation is different from individual to individual. Intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, intrinsic rewards and extrinsic rewards, monetary benefits, non-monetary benefits. So likewise, we can classify many ways of motivations in here. So usually the natural method which is to be used as Sama, which is persuasion method of motivation, and Dhamma, which is incentive method of motivation or reward method of motivation. So these two are creating internal competition. True or not? So these two are creating internal competition which comes next, and the user forces come at the last method, which is Dhanda. So here Arthashastra suggests that different situations requires different types of motivation mix. So sometimes Dhamma and Dhanda may be well effective for the situation, sometimes Veda and Dhanda, sometimes Sama alone would be very effective. So motivation mix may be different. So according to the situations, we have to choose the type of the means mix. So use of motivation mix, it's also related to the dominance of particular aspect of human nature. As I said before, some people may be happy with monetary benefits, but many or may not be happy with monetary benefits. So this is how accordingly that we have to look into the motivation mix, which combination will work good. In many organizations, there is greater resilience like Veda and Danda, these two work well. So actually if we look into the researchers and all, nowadays that many of the social sciences researchers, they are very keen on research, doing research on Sama, which can work for long term when we apply for organizations with regard to the, and we talked about theory X, we mapped theory X with Danda. So with which we can map theory Y? Obviously it's Sama. So Sama is the stage wherein theory Y was represented by McGregor. So this Sama approach always finds its expression in human relation approach, obviously. That's what these social sciences researchers are very keen on implementation of. This either Dhamma approach is also an academic approach wherein we talk about monetary benefits, non-monetary benefits and all. So in other perspective, we see Vedha. It's about political power of approach of motivation. So when it comes to internal competition, obviously to lead that competition, some people behave politically. That means some cunning thoughts do exist. Of course, it's a part of healthy competition. So that leads to some kind of political power approach of motivation. Finally, if we sue the danda, so here danda is we all know punishment, or we have another term here, brute force approach of motivation. That means forcefully we are insisting the people to achieve something. That is what Kautilya said. If somebody is unable to recognize their skills, push them, punish them, and let them recognize their skill and develop. This is what the motivation he derived in. So next, the management competencies. That means who can be called as an excellent man, as an employee, or good person, good employee. So to determine a person as a good employee or best employee, what are the competencies? Literally, that we look into these following competencies. So those days he derived it. First competency is about technical competencies. Here, please don't think technology has come now. So those days also we have the technology here. Technology represents following a process itself is a technology. Now we are working on the machines, electricity, computers, mobile phones. These are the things that we are using technology. Those days are also we have technology. That means the right skill to complete a particular task. The master skill an employee is having. That is what he talked about. So he identified these are the skills must be necessary for a man in sense a human being he is representing for excelling as a good employee. So these are the areas he identified and the competencies which should be tested, because we are talking about leader and everybody wants to be a leader. A leader must have these competencies, these management competencies, because they have to undergo with some critical responsibilities. So whoever are undergoing with that critical responsibilities, they have to have these skills. So first one that we discussed, technical competencies, that means testing persons training in positions, that means I have science, whichever the science and all technologies that we can check, and testing the intelligence, dexterity, that means agility, the flexibility of the person, how he is molding himself, and testing of eloquence, boldness and presence of mind. That means how is representing, how his expression towards a job, how his expression towards a work. This has to be tested, and test the ability to bear the troubles during the emergencies. You are the students, you all know how many people are struggling because of this pandemic. So, facing the troubles, how far he is ready to face the troubles, he is ready to have that immunity to cope up with the emergencies. Here, immunity, I didn't represent any some health issues. That power that he is having to protect himself and also to protect other society. So next, testing uprightness, friendliness, that means amicableness, and firmness of devotion in dealing with others. So here it representing the amicability and absence of disposition, power, manipulation that has to have with the. So next, finally, test the strength of character. What is the character of a person, how he is, so whether if a person can bend at for the corruptions or some offers, some gifts and all, obviously that will reflect the progress of an organization. So that's what the strength of the character is very important to assess a person's competencies. So the leadership position have to have all these competencies to complete a person as a leader. So all these important competencies are typically, if we frame or if we categorize these, they falls under technical competencies or professional competencies, decision making competencies, and communication competencies, behavioral competencies, and character competencies. So this is how we categorize all these. These are the areas to be noted to become a leader or to make a leader, to be a leader, whatever it may be. Okay, so this is what Arthashastra is elevating the leadership qualities or a person who is ready to take critical responsibilities. So next it is about Kautilya's GET analysis. GET. Here, GET is an acronym. This GET analysis is a part of strategic management, strategic thinking, which he delivered. Usually the way he expressed about the strategic thinking and all, Niti. That means main we call it as Chanakya Niti, which indicates the right way of behaviors. Right? So under this strategic thinking and management, he determined this GET analysis. So nowadays we usually call it as a SWOT analysis. Already we all know what is the SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So those days he derived it as a gains, expenses and troubles. This is what he derived the GET analysis or GET framework. So here GET framework is the expression of these three areas. This GET framework is part of the strategic management. So here this GET analysis or GET framework has to be implemented for the self, that means for the organization or for the individual. Again the same has to be analyzed with the competitor position. So if you think of these implementations, definitely you could be able to analyze the situations. So here GET analysis incorporates within itself like as SWOT analysis. So in conducting this GET analysis, Kautilya also recommended an analysis of support and dangers, both internally and externally. So while doing this has to be done. So GET analysis typically gains expenses and troubles. So if you are going to merge with another company, for say, if you would like to take an example of merging, obviously what are the gains and what are the expenses incurred for this merging process, and if we merge, what are the troubles that we can face with the company, with the employees and with the society, as well as in the other organization perspective, that means which is the other organization who initiated the merging with our company, what is the gain for him, what he is expecting from our perspective, and how much he is ready to invest or how much that he is capable enough to give, and the troubles that he has faced because of his operations, and reciprocation process here, is he really interested to merge or not? That means in the trouble area we have to analyze in this way. So this is how we have to look into GET analysis. So this is about today's class. If you have any submissions